Hello and welcome to the Her Effect podcast. I'm Jaime Cross, your host, and I'm so excited to dive in today to the entrepreneurial pillar where we're going to talk about business. And as we dive in today, I want to first just encourage you. I feel this strong sense that women, that you need to hear this again, that, in my 10 years, 13 years as an entrepreneur, more than 13 years, just pastoring people and talking to women, I know that so many women struggle with depression. They struggle with this sort of tension of, what am I really supposed to be doing? Or I have a sense of understanding that I know I'm called to my family and I love my family and I love my children, but I want to build more. And maybe there's a tension around, should I do this other thing? Or even the question of, what's my calling? I want to build a business that's my calling. I was really pressing into the Lord for years, just so that I could articulate what I've known in the deepest part of my heart for such a long time. And then in the last month or so, I really feel like I got clarity from the Lord, and it felt like a weight was lifted for women. And so I want to share this with you because I believe that this is a now word for you. If you are struggling, or if there is that tension for you, or maybe you're building and you're just not really running hard, and that is, I feel like the Lord shared with me, he said, your children and your calling is to your home, your husband and your children. Everything you do outside of the home is for profit. And so immediately I realized this is what I think so many other women are missing, is our families, our children, raising up godly children, having an amazing marriage is ultimately our calling. And of course, God has given us many gifts, and we are going to use those gifts in many different areas. And you can find and build a business and, find a vocation that you absolutely love and are passionate about, and it's aligned with what you do for your family. But I want you to feel empowered that everything you do outside of your home, go ahead and feel that release to monetize and build something. And there are practical ways to do the research to figure out, well, what business should I be building? And we can talk about that another time. Or maybe you've already reached a 7-figure place. I know a lot of social sellers that are just killing it in social selling. And I'm like, keep going. Don't stop there. Start having multiple streams of income. And I just want to empower you, ladies. I know for a fact that the greatest awakening that the world has ever seen is coming from the entrepreneurs. And I believe that women, again, are at the forefront of that. And so go all in. Take your children along with you. Let them see you succeed. Let them see you build. And let them see you profit and win financially. And I'm going to do some episodes on hiring help in the home, and what does it look like to delegate and build structure in the home. I am naturally not super high structure person. Most of my friends are very high structure. There's tension that we have to resolve as we're going through building. So that was just that was kind of like a little bit of the icing on this topic that I want to dive into today. But I want you to be encouraged that it's time to step in fully and to go all in and realize that God is calling you to be an incredible mother, and he's given you your family and your children as a gift. And one of the greatest gifts that we can give to the world is to not struggle financially. So use your skills, use your talent to monetize everything you're doing outside of your home. And I know a ton of women that are even, they're incredible mothers, and they're creating these amazing courses on motherhood, or, homeschooling moms are doing the same thing. And so there's so many different ways to monetize, but I hope you can feel released if there is that tension for you. Okay, let's dive in. So I want to share with you a simple framework that I use to make big decisions in my business. And about 8 months ago, I was in a place after having built so far what we've done. We've gotten to the 8-figure mark. We've shifted over into this new model, this new social selling business model, which has been the greatest challenge as an entrepreneur of my entire life, because not only has it been strategic figuring out how to build strategically and understanding this business model, because as we're growing and as we're building, we have to understand that we need a working knowledge of the industry that we're in, not only from a product perspective, but even the business model that we're in. So not only did I shift over from e-commerce, which I was becoming very proficient in, we were just killing it, but I shifted over into a model that I've never been on this side of the business before. And so there's been major learning curves, lots of mistakes, lots of just continuing to press forward. And I've had probably more tears in the last 4 years as an entrepreneur than I've ever had, even as a pastor or in any other season of my life. And that tension and that pressure, I realized, like, thank goodness I've been through so many hard things in my journey, because the pressure and the tension of this growth season has been so rigorous and challenging, but I can actually look at it with perspective and know what's actually happening inside of me and around me. It's like, wow, this is what it feels like to become a diamond, right? All that pressure, all that purification, and then just strategy from a practical perspective, lots of figuring out nuances. And because we're in a model that isn't just, hey, go sell these amazing products to a bunch of people, put some strategic ads and strategic things in place, everything we're doing is relational. And and this is me being completely transparent. Some of the, like, trying to figure some of this out is, okay, well, I actually don't have as much access to the actual customer anymore. We have, our access is more through our ambassador, who has the relationship with the customer. And so how do we serve B2B, business to business? The ambassadors are these businesses, and then B2B to C, which is the customer. And so there's like this whole two-step thing happening. So lots of big decisions, lots of learning a new industry, while also continuing to maintain a working knowledge of the growing skincare and beauty and holistic healing and health and wellness industry. I've been in school now on this amazing path of just understanding the human body so I can continue to advance and become number one in what we're doing. And so about 8 months ago, I just started praying, and Lord, I need a mentor. And I have been in masterminds, and I'm going to keep doing that because I think that's critical for being in the right room with the right people and having access to certain mentors who have gone before me and have done things that I'm looking to do in my business. But I also knew to go from 10 to 100 million. And I love that I'm actually kind of documenting this journey, because I can't wait to look back 5 years from now and be like, man, I remember that season of transformation. And I want to encourage you also, whatever your season is right now, make sure you're documenting and journaling. If you're a mother right now with littles, have journals for them. Write down the new words and the things that they're saying. I wish I had done that more with the boys when they were younger, because I've forgotten so many little nuances and things. And thank goodness we kind of live in an iPhone world too, where I've got lots of video from those days. But document your journey. Document your story and your journey. And so 8 months ago, I was like, I'm ready to go from mastermind to mastermind and one-on-one mentor. And so I had, for about 7 years, known of a person who had built a multi-9-figure company in the physical products and the digital space. And so I reached out, and after weeks and weeks of waiting, he finally got back to me, and we talked and had this great conversation. It was about a 2-hour-long conversation. We both agreed, yes, let's work together. He's ready to mentor. I'm ready to be mentored. And I remember telling him too, I said, I've now been building this social selling business for 3+ years. We went through pre-launch, and then we've actually been in the model. I just feel like as an entrepreneur, I want to know things. I don't want to have to I want to learn from other people's mistakes, which is one of the fastest ways to grow, right? Is to learn from other people's mistakes and get insight, working knowledge, right? Like if you're going to build a machine, you're going to find an expert who's already built that machine, and they can come in, tell you exactly where to tighten the screws and do all the things. And you get to grow exponentially. And so I wanted that. And I was very like open about, this is where I am. This is what I'm looking to do in my business. And he agreed. So one of the first things we discussed were big decisions that I was making, big rocks. If you're not familiar with the entrepreneurial operating system or rocket fuel, check that book out. It's super powerful. We actually operate our business on the EOS system. And so we were talking through big rocks. And one of the things he pointed out was you need to separate the what from the how. And that was such a simple twist for me, such a simple reframe and shift, that I realized, you're right. I've actually been kind of doing that, but sometimes we convolute the what with the how. Let me give you an example. And so let's just say, for instance, you need to let somebody on your team go, which termination is like the ultimate. I'm so glad I have an integrator now, because I don't really have to do that part of the business anymore. I'm really getting into more. After 13 years of building, I'm finally getting into a place where I can start focusing a lot more on vision and empowering and content, and less on the some of the like operational things that I've done both for so many years. And so I said, at the time we were just going through some scenarios. And so I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you have to let somebody go. Well, you go through this whole process of, you go through a checklist of, is this person the right fit? Is it a cultural thing? Are they in the wrong seat and we need to move them into a different seat? Or do they belong on the bus, just on a different seat? Or are they the wrong person for this bus altogether? And so finally, when you actually make the decision, okay, this person is not a right fit here. There's not only a lack of performance, there's a lack of culture fit, all the long list, right? And so you make the decision and you say, okay, the what is, this person is no longer fit. I have to let them go. But then the fear of, okay, well, what am I going to do when I let that person go? I don't have anybody to fill that space now. And so all the convoluted, so what I would do for a long period of time was I would delay terminating that person. And I know this is probably not as fun of a topic to talk about, but that's just the natural, in business, hiring and firing is if you don't have the right people on the bus, and if you don't have those people in the right seats, it can actually destroy and work against the progress of your company. So it's very important that you have the right people. So I would make that decision. Okay, this person, when we go through just all the practicals, this person is not the right fit. Well, I would wait to and they would continue to cause damage in the company, because I hadn't figured out how do I let this person go and still maintain operational or whatever their role was. How do I continue to what am I going to do when they're not here anymore? How am I going to move forward without this role being filled? I'm going to have to take that back on. Can I work another 30 hours, 40 hours? I'm already at 70 hours a week, whatever the case may be. And so then what I would do is I would combine the what with the how, and then delay making decisions. And so as soon as I was able to see that framework of, okay, you have to separate the what from the how. Once you make the decision, then you work on the how, and you figure all of that how part out, and then you can make decisions a lot faster. And so I've been able to create and to operate from that framework and make very quick decisions. What is the what here? Okay, the what is, we know that we have a large percentage of our organization asking for a particular product. Okay, we go through all the decision-making process. We're going to go ahead and launch this new product. Well, the how is, do we have the formulator? Do we have the sources for the raw materials? Are these raw materials accessible affordably? If we can't get these raw materials at an affordable cost, then it means that we're going to have to hike the price because we have a comp plan attached to our products. And does that mean that we're then outpricing our market? And if we do that, can we put it into a new opportunity so that's unique enough where we're actually able to create a marketing strategy around it, even though it is potentially greater in price point? Because we are a premium brand. And so learning how to separate the what are we doing in our business what do we need to do to make it, to move things forward in whatever decisions that we're making. And then once you make that decision, then you go through okay, well, how are we going to launch this product? How are we going to find these sources? And then you get your who, right? And there's actually a book, I think it's called Who, Not How. And this is key as well, is when you get to that certain point in your next, as you grow your company, it's who do we need to bring into the organization, whether it's through consulting or a contractor, or do we bring in an employee who's going to be able to execute on these types of projects? How many products are we going to be launching in a year? Do we need to hire a full-time formulator, or do we continue to? So constantly being able to come back to the simple drawing board of what's the what, what's the how, and then who's the who. And if you can get straight to the who, and one of the things I've started doing over the last year and a half now is I've been hiring top down. So I hire the leader for a department, and then that leader is actually able to take those things and build out the entire department. And what's really unique about our company, and I believe this so strongly because there were years that I was like, man, I feel like what I'm doing is taking longer than everybody else. There were people that started around the same time I did, and they were surpassing me. But I'm realizing now, I'm like, everything we're doing is truly building a base so that we can be, number one and largest organization in this industry in the entire world. That's what I see. And so we control our manufacturing. We're adding on nutritionals now, where we're actually building out and becoming FDA compliant so that we can own our own nutritionals. And that's been a decision. I remember it was about 11 years ago where I started going through this process of, should I outsource our production? And so I was calling, I'd sit in my little office in our little house, and I'd have boxes all around me, boxes of soap just filled with printed out UPS on paper, UPS labels, and I'd have to use my scissors and cut them and then tape down the labels. And now, thank goodness, we have the labels that you can peel off and stick straight to the box. But man, shipping a box back 10 years ago for me it would just take me weeks to ship orders out. I remember sitting down, I still remember to this day where I was sitting, looking out the window in Colorado Springs out at Pikes Peak. And I called this particular company, and I had been having this discussion back and forth quite a bit with this gatekeeper. And I was like, here's the story, I have this vision, we're growing this amazing health and wellness company at the time that was, just organic skincare and soap. But the vision is to see more lives transformed and health transformed. And we eventually want to own our own farms and control our sourcing and do all these amazing things. And I remember him saying, hold on just a second, Jamie. And he goes and he's like, I need to close the door. So he closes the door and he comes back and he's talking in this really hushed tone. And he said, hey, I'm not really, I shouldn't be sharing this with you. But after talking to you back and forth here, and after hearing your story and your vision, I just can't let you not only work with us, but please don't ever outsource. As much as you can control your process, always keep it in-house, because there is just so much corruption in this industry, and ingredients being swapped out. When the customer walks away, corners are being cut with these manufacturing facilities. And so I remember thinking, oh my goodness, it also brings awareness to if we did ever have to work with a partner to keep bringing on these new products, I need to be seeing these, I need to be doing my due diligence to build relationship and see the facilities that we're working with, and make regular visits. And so anyway, this whole process of what we're building has been so vast, from manufacturing to doing our own fulfillment. And what's really interesting is how many conversations I've had with kind of bigwig other brands who maybe manufacture, they do private label, and they're like, oh, once you get to a certain point, you're gonna have to outsource that. But I just know in my heart, we're doing all the right things by controlling our process here. And so in the journey of growing not only our manufacturing, growing our own fulfillment, but also growing our own brand, and then in a new industry where we have people in a totally different role than just the customer, right? Where we have these ladies who are making paychecks and they're serving their customers. And so there's just a lot of nuance in what we're doing. And I've been able to make faster decisions, more healthy decisions even, and execute in a more advanced and precise way by being able to separate the who from the how. The what from the how, and then adding in this idea of the who, which the who thing, I remember hearing a mentor talk about this like 4 or 5 years ago, and it totally rocked my world, because it was like, you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to know all of the things. You don't have to know how to do every single scalable thing in your business. And for me, thankfully, like, I know every part of my business, but as we're continuing to grow and I'm bringing in these amazing who's, I'm becoming the junior man on the team in certain areas, right? So when I think about one of our newest hires, who's going to be starting here in the middle of this month, he's going to come in as an operational sales director, marketing sales director, who has 20 years experience. He is going to know 1,000 times more than I do in certain areas within this industry, because he has all this experience. And so I just warp speeded our growth by being able to bring in an amazing who's going to know more than I will and be able to make better decisions than I could, because I don't have that experience. So as you're building and growing, the more you can separate the who, the what, what decision, what's the right decision here? Okay, once I've made the decision, this needs to happen. Now we figure out how it's going to happen, and don't let the how stop you from making the right what decision. Okay. And then making sure that you're always, once you're ready, and this is a whole different discussion, but when you're ready to start when your business gets to a point where it costs you more to do everything than it would to hire somebody to replace you in certain areas that you're maybe creating drag or you're a bottleneck, that's when you want to start delegating and finding those amazing who's. And when you're starting, it could be somebody who can wear 10 different hats, right? And so I still wear a lot of hats, and a lot of the people that we're bringing in are actually still wearing multiple hats. Even at 10 million, we have people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and get into the dirt and like do multiple things and be multifaceted in their roles. And so that's also just really key. So I hope this was edifying and beneficial for you. Again, please, I would love your feedback. What specific problems are you solving in your business right now that you would like some insight on? I would love to start answering specific questions and talking about specific topics that are going to help you move the needle forward, especially in your businesses. Or if there's any other topic, especially within the 7 pillars, we've got motherhood, we've got marriage, creativity, we have friendship, any of those topics that you're maybe struggling with, please send in your inquiries. I would love to go and actually be able to answer some of those and create topics around these questions and these pain points for you. So be encouraged, keep persisting, keep seeking the Lord, keep inquiring of Him, and whatever He tells you to do, just do it. And you will not even be able to recognize where you'll be a year from now. If you continue to press in, remember, you will reap a harvest if you don't give up. Okay, love you. See you more on the next episode, and see you more on the inside. Thanks for listening to today's show. Hit subscribe or follow, and be sure to share this episode with a friend.